Chapter 22. Sorry. Several nights have gone by since the night Dr. Cassius met Hannah's parents. He explained to us how they were gay men, and that is fine with me, but I'm getting sidetracked right now. Today was actually Halloween Day, and I had to go to school today just like I do every Halloween day. I was now entering my last period in my favorite class, which is anatomy. One thing I love about the Polk Shore School, which I know is why they're so expensive, is that they won't hire you if you have a master's degree. You must have a doctorate in order to be a teacher here. I sat down in my seat waiting for Dr. Redford to enter the classroom. I love Dr. Redford. He answers all my questions, and he will answer any question, and he talks to the class in a way where they can all clearly understand what he means, even if it is complex. "Good afternoon, children," said Dr. Redford. Good afternoon, Dr. Redford, said me and the rest of the class. Today we are going to discuss the function of each of the bones in the spinal cord," said Dr. Redford. Someone in the class raised their hand. "Yes, Benjamin," said Dr. Redford, answering the hand. Each exact bone has a function, Benjamin, another student in my class asked. "Not by exact bone, but by groups of bones," said Dr. Redford. Dr. Redford then put his wand and then spent the next several minutes describing what each group of bones do. I was paying attention and following along with the guided notes he has given me. Just a side note, when it comes to me taking notes in class, I've always preferred guided notes to actually taking the notes, word for word myself, because I am still taking notes, but I feel like because someone made them for me already, I feel like they're set in stone, which makes them easier for me to remember. We then came across the bones that affect movement of the arms and legs, and I feel like I had to ask the next questions because of the fact I've been worried about my mother lately, and have been reading a mystery book, and that is compelling for me to ask this. "Yes, Sam," said Dr. Redford when he saw my raised hand. "What happens if the bones get thrown out of place or crack?" I answered. "How severe?" Dr. Redford asked back when I asked the question, which is what I love about him because he always likes providing exact answers. "Out of place and cracked, but still intact, with the rest of the bones in the spinal cord being intact," I answered his questions. "That would for sure cause mobility issues." "What if it was out of tact?" That would for sure result in crippling." Can it crack badly enough that can cause crippling?" "No, only a disconnection could do that." "How much of an impact can cause mobility issues?" "Not as hard as you would think if you land on your back hard after you fall off the playground hard. That can cause severe cracking and out of tact. Thank you so much for answering my out of tact and can cause severe mobility issues." "Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you so much for answering my questions. That's why I used my doctorate to be a teacher." The class went on for the next half hour, and then the bell rang, and that was the end of the class. "Hey, Sam, can I talk with you for a second before you leave?" Dr. Redford asked. "Sure," I said. Are you okay? You seem awfully desperate in class today for me to answer those questions for you." "Oh, I am fine." "Okay, glad to hear it. Have a happy Halloween." As I began to walk out to Polk Shore School, I realized I need to make a couple of phone calls because I think we need to have a meeting right now at Garfield Park. I called Dr. Cassius first. "Sam," Dr. Cassius asked through the phone. Meet me at Garfield Park now," I said through the phone. "Seriously? It is Halloween. I have to catch the candy stores from the Milky Way. I am sorry, but there are two things I need to talk about with you. On my way, I need to catch the next Green Line train. I'm on the Brown Line, passing the merchandise mart." Marcus then hung up. I then called George. "Hello?" George asked through the phone. "George, I am sorry. I need you to come to Garfield Park now to meet me and Dr. Cassius," I said through the phone. "No, it is Halloween. You said you promised we wouldn't we would never have a meeting on the holiday celebrated in the USA for the USA. I never said that, and if somebody did tell you that, it would be Dr. Morcassius, because he would be the one to set rules like that. And if he did, he would tell me, because he is the leader of our trio, and he never told me that. So you must come to this meeting. George then hung up, and I could tell he heard what I just said, because I could hear the train he was on the whole time, and he was not talking on the phone. I then called my dad. Sam, what have we discussed about you calling me at work? My dad asked. Oh, sorry. Just note that we are just gonna be late coming home tonight. Okay, just know that it's Halloween. And if you miss it, that is your problem. And you don't need to call me if you're going to be home late to meet up with your brothers in your secret spot. My dad was the one who hung up. I then called my mom, but I ended up having to leave her a voicemail. By now I was approaching the Polk Street station, and I realized I was going to have to wait for the next Pink Line train toward the Loop. Getting to Conservatory Central Park Drive station, where Garfield Park is from the Polk Charter School, isn't that long. You just have to transfer to the Green Line. The route I take is I take the Pink Line, one stop toward the Loop from Polk Station, which is Ashland Station, shared with the Green Line, which I then transfer and take 3 stops to Harlem Lake, which is Conservatory slash Central Park Drive. I then took that route, and when I entered the Conservatory Central Park Drive, I saw Dr. Morcassius was already there. Status report, asked Dr. Morcassius. I am waiting for George to get here for us to settle in our spot, and then 2 things will be discussed on there, I said. 2 things? You 2 things? You fuck up my Halloween because of just 2 things? Usually meetings are discussed over one big thing. Oh, I am not sure how big they are, but it is very important we are having this meeting. I know it is. I even understand why we are having it. It just upsets me we are having it on Halloween. By the way, did you make a rule that we don't have meetings on USA holidays? No, what did I just say? Odd, because George thinks you did. I then talk about other irrelevant things to what the meeting is about with Dr. Morcassius, and during that time, 2 Green Line trains to Harlem Lake passed by with neither of them carrying George. Then I get a call from my mother. Hi, Mom, I said through the phone. Can you explain to me what you and your brothers are still doing in the United States? Or Mom asked through the phone. I have to call a meeting to our secret spot, I answered. Then can you explain to me why George is here in Robbinsog? Because he is a bad listener and I told him to meet us at our secret spot and he disobeyed me? Oh, okay. I was just wondering because you feel either all home or either or not home when I get home. Can you ask him to come to our secret spot? No, it is your secret spot. He can come if he wants to. Thank you for your help, Mom. Not, I said through the phone, quite irritated. I then hung up. Sam, I understood what happened through the phone regarding this. I'm going to kidnap him tomorrow and force him to come here, and I will tell him whatever you tell me. Sir, Dr. Morcassius, said with anger in his voice that I could tell was not directed toward me at all, because I did tell George he had to come to this. I personally am shocked he didn't want to come to this despite being Halloween, because he had an opportunity to ride the Green Line with his hood down. Let's just go to the secret spot. Right. We then left and walked south of Conservatory / Central Park Drive station to a secret spot, and then we began talking. Start talking. If you want one of those two things you wanted to discuss with me was a security breach, I would like to hear about first, Dr. Morcassius ordered, as we were sitting down by the pond in Garfield Park. The first was a security breach. what happened? Uh, I asked some medical questions in anatomy class, and Dr. Redford wanted to make sure I was doing okay because the tone I was asking them in. Medical questions regarding what? The spine, which leads to the second thing. Okay, it sounds like we don't have a security breach when you thought we did, so I'm willing to discuss the second thing now. I made a breakthrough on what I think may be wrong with Mom, I said. How? How? Dr. Marcassius asked. We were discussing the spine in anatomy class today, and I think that part of Mom's spine is cracked or out of place but still intact, which is causing her mobility issues. So let me ask you what happened. You asked questions without giving away the fact or Mom is having mobility issues about the spinal cord to your teacher. And you asked them in a way where he gets concerned about you, so he wanted to make sure you were doing okay because he thought something was wrong? To make a long story short, yes, that's exactly right. That's not a security breach because your teacher doesn't know exactly what we are up to. And the truth of the matter is, that's no different than telling our Mom that we are going to be late for dinner tonight in Robbinsog. Oh, okay, I'm sorry if I overreacted by calling this meeting. That is okay. Better safe than sorry. And I know during your schooling career that you have never had a situation like that. So as long as all is well, it ends well. Plus, you didn't overreact at all. Why didn't I overreact at all? Because the fact you may have figured out what was wrong with Mom alone is enough that a meeting should be called. How are we going to test our theory? Because if we ask or try to feel her back, she will scream and shout at us. I say if she doesn't like it, even though we are trying to save her life, she'll just have to bite the bullet. Can we try something? Can we try and think of something first? 2 weeks. Fine. Let's head back to Robbinsog. We then walked back to Conservatory Central Park Drive, station and boarded the next Green Line train to Ashland 63rd or Cottage Grove.